All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ephraim coming at you with another relatively short but important presentation. I actually posted this in our community a couple of weeks back because I was getting a lot of questions about the new format with 23andMe. So I decided to go ahead and make an audio presentation because I found that many of my YouTube followers and fans aren't on Facebook and vice versa. Now, this is important because basically what they've done, and I saw this coming. I mean, it's clear as day. When I first did that comprehensive E1B1A video, I knew it was going to happen eventually, and that day has come. They've made it much more difficult for our people to understand and know and read their DNA results because it's not visibly E1B1A. So what's that going to do? It's going to cause confusion, and it's going to frustrate an already frustrated people. But remember when I first told you all that they count and rely on the ignorance of our people. That's right where they want us, right? The spirit of doubt, the spirit of ignorance, all those different things. They rely on that. And just as I'm sitting here doing this particular presentation, we're actually living and experiencing it right now. Now, I'm not the one to say, I told you so or anything like that. But for all of the followers and fans that I have worldwide, you all know what time it is. All right. They know that we're basically getting too close. The Most High raised up one of us to bring forth this DNA teaching that's inconclusive and indisputable. And I mean, it's clear as day. They feel like every time we get close, they move the goal line, right? Oh, wow, they're getting too close. We got to come up with another version of the Bible to take this word out or take these words out to throw them off. Oh, they're getting too close. They know E1B1A is the true Israelites, so we got to change the format so it's not visually E1B1A anymore. And then they think that if they don't see the E1B1A, then okay, well, I guess I'm not an Israelite. See, but that's just it, my people. They've been counting on that since the beginning of time. See, they never thought that we get a hold of this E1B1A or this DNA teaching, right? So even before that, they would try to inject confusion, giving you all these different ancestral percentages. Like that has nothing to do with where we originated. For men and women, that's our Y DNA haplotype and our mitochondrial haplotype that determines which nation in Africa we come from, which bloodline we descend from. And they're mad. I've seen it all over the internet. They are literally mad. My teachings it's all over. And I'm thankful for that, and I'm humbled. But I need to say real quick, I don't mind anyone you can use my teachings, my videos, whatever you need to verbatim. But still, you have to give and cite me as the source and the reference. If you do not do that in the academic world, that's called plagiarism. It's dishonorable, and I do not like it. Okay, I have not charged not one single cent since I've been teaching this E1B1A, this DNA genetic teaching, and that's okay. But I'm not going to just sit back and have people pass my work, my hard work, off as their own and not cite me as the source and the reference. I am the founder of this E1B1A genetic teaching. Anyone attempting to teach this, believe me, look at the date on the comprehensive E1B1A video and you will all see that it all came after that. By grace and mercy of the Most High, I brought that forth. All right, so that's that. I don't want to beat a dead horse or go on and on and on, but I think it's important to let that be known to the world. I have no problems with you, reposting anything that I post verbatim. That's fine. Just cite me as the source and the reference, and do not try to pass my work off as your own. All right. So here we go. DNA, the molecule of life, and it's definitely the molecule of life. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the new format I'm going to give you a sample of what the old format looked like on 23andMe, and then we're going to kind of go from there on what you can expect moving forward from them now.
All right. Apologize to those who know that I am known for having crisp and clear audio in the first segment. It was a little choppy in the background, but I was getting some settings correct, but we're all good now. All right. So here we are. Now, for those of you who don't know or remember, when I did the comprehensive E1B1A video, first of all, that video was 3 hours long. It's running up on close to 200,000 natural views, all natural. It's been seen and shared all around the world. In that video, I exposed a lot of things. One of them is which the owner of Family Tree DNA, Mr. Bennett Greenspan. Now, I'm all about the truth. I'm not trying to disparage anyone or, call anyone any names or, anything along those lines. My whole goal and my mission is to educate and awaken the masses of my people who have no earthly idea who they are and have been brainwashed beyond belief to believe a bunch of lies. Now, the thing is, this E1B1A thing that you're looking at, that actually was a part of they did a DNA study on some Dominicans. And this is what they said about haplogroup E1B1A. They gave a little half truth and put a whole bunch of lies with it. But the Bible says a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, right? So let's read it. What it says about our haplogroup E1B1A from Family Tree DNA. It says this haplogroup is predominantly sub-Saharan African and is the most common haplogroup among African Americans. Among Jews, it can be found in very small percentages, even in Jews from Eastern Europe, where there is little, if any, African influence to be found. This indicates that while this haplogroup is certainly not a founding lineage for Jews, it was present in very small amounts at the time of the formation of the ancient Israelite nation. One more time for possible penetration. This indicates that while this haplogroup, E1B1A, is certainly not a founding lineage for Jews, it was present in very small amounts at the time of the formation of the ancient Israelite nation. And I called him to task. Why would he make it a point to say that our haplogroup E1B1A was quote unquote certainly not a founding lineage for Jews, but basically we were there? Huh? Right. They gave us some truth and then put a bunch of other stuff with it to throw us off, to make it seem insignificant. When in actuality, E1B1A is actually the founding lineage of the ancient Israelite nation. And that's what I brought forth in that classic 3-hour comprehensive video that's now being just shot up all around the world, right? So I wanted to kind of refresh your memory on that when I called it to task. And to my knowledge, even 23andMe is owned and operated by converted Jews. And from what I understand and from what I've researched, that's the fact. They own 23andMe. And I remember I had a brief exchange with someone who clearly had me confused with those hate brothers and those hate groups. And we had an exchange, and this person supposedly said that they actually knew the owner of 23andMe and this and that. And funny thing that happened after we had that exchange, not long after that, that's when everything started to change with the format to 23andMe. After I had to set her straight in terms of not coming at me the way, assuming that I'm one of those cursing brothers who is teaching and preaching hate on the street corners all across the United States. So Anyway, I had to bring that back forth to refresh your memory. So this E1B1A, us being Hebrew Israelites, it's nothing totally quite new. It's just that they've tried to downplay it, or they've tried to play ignorant, or they've tried to make it seem insignificant, because they say that E1B1B, 20% of so-called Jews possess E1B1B. Well, I'm sorry, E1B1A comes before E1B1B. So if E1B1B is Jews, E1B1A logically has to be. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not even gonna get into that whole algebraic type equation of what that means, but that's what they tried to do. And because we didn't call them to task, because we didn't question them, because we didn't challenge the information, this is what they've been giving to the world, right? And this is how we got here. So this isn't anything completely totally new that I brought forth. It's just that I brought attention to the fact that E1B1A is in fact the formation of the ancient Israelite nation. All right, so that being said, on to the next segment. So while I was doing a quick research for this presentation, I came up on the someone responded to that caption I just read as far as haplogroup E1B1A, someone named Micah. Shout out to Micah. It's dated December 9th, 2016. And from their response, it sounds like they're actually they were privy to my teachings and my bringing forth of the E1B1A knowledge and teaching. So let's check out what they said real quick in response to that, what they had under that haplogroup. And it said, wait a minute. There goes another Israel and African American connection. Coincidence? Once again, this is from one of the largest DNA databases in the world. But keep in mind, the founder is an Ashkenazi Jew, Bennett Greenspan. As you can see, getting that lying devil to even tell the tidbit of the tell that tidbit of truth was like pulling teeth. Why? Because he knows for a fact that our DNA is completely different from his European DNA, which has none, zero connection to Israel, Northeast Africa. On the other hand, even they can't deny that the origin of the E1B1A is found at the time of the formation of ancient Israel. People lie. DNA doesn't. White people lie to themselves, to their children, to each other, to the world. DNA can't. End quote. Yeah, from reading that, it sounds like this person is definitely privy to my teachings in the comprehensive E1B1A video. And again, that was his quote. I don't call people names. I don't call people devils and all that. I don't get into that. But I had to read what the person quoted, what the person said verbatim, because it's a quote. But I definitely wanted to share that with you all because I thought it was very interesting and it was relevant. Okay. All right. That being said, on to the next segment. Okay, now for the next segment, I'm including a snapshot or screenshot of the Facebook post that I did, bringing this to everyone's attention. Again, because like I said, I started getting so many questions and inquiries all over, and I figured, all things considered, I had to address this. All right, so let me read this. It says, I put out some months ago that 23andMe.com changed the format so that your paternal haplogroup is not immediately visible as E1B1A or any of its subgroups. But the new format does not change your haplotype. Now that's extremely important. Okay, they changed the nomenclature, they changed the visual format of it. But them doing that still does not change whatever your Y DNA haplotype is. Whatever that is, you got that from your father and he got that from his father. The only thing that them changing the format does is cause and injects confusion and makes it frustrating or more frustrating to those trying to find out if they're E1B1A. All right. Now, again, like I said here, they just made it more frustrating and confusing. I think to the average Negro getting a DNA test done, specifically looking for it to say E1B1A. So, and then when it doesn't, it's like, oh wow, okay, well I guess I'm not Hebrew Israelite, right? That's pretty much the short of it, right? So here I'm using a sample of my paternal haplogroup from my test with 23andMe to use as a somewhat of a guideline for all of you. All right, then I have it here. And I actually, in the next segment, I actually give you a visual of what it actually looks like. Paternal haplogroup, now they have me at EP252. That's the new visual for my haplotype. But that EP252 is still E1B1A 7A. And that E1B1A 7A, the long form is E1B1A 1A1 F1A1. And I got equal tribe of V from Northern Kingdom. Now let me speak to that real quick, because I've seen some Ebos with the E1B1A 1A1 F1A1. And it's weird because I told y'all a long time ago that we're so scattered into these different tribes in West Africa. Truthfully, it really doesn't matter, because there are literally men with my haplotype in the Yoruba tribe, the Igbo tribe, there are Bantus. I mean, we're literally mixed in all these different tribes with the same haplotype. So what does that tell you? We're from the same seed. We're from the same tribe, but we claim different Africanic or Hamitic tribes, which again is our secondary nation. Okay, some identify with Igbo, some identify with Yoruba, and it's kind of difficult to know actually which one is which, because they both have the same haplotype, so they're from the same tribe. All right, so that's important to note and point out, that even though we claim different secondary tribes, African, Yoruba, Bantu, Mandinka, all these different African tribes, right, that we're mixed into. Many of us are from the same tribe in Israel, but we claim different African tribes. That's a trip, right? But that's how it is. Different E nomenclatures equal same haplotype. Now, and this is important to know too, because I get this a lot. People want to find out which tribe they come from, Listen, it is not and has not been easy to match haplotypes with each of the 12 tribes of Israel. But mine, for example, was somewhat easy because of the oral history of the B'nai Ephraim of Yoruba, who mostly possesses the E1B1A 7A haplotype. It is strongly believed that E1B1A 8A/A8 is Judah, and E1B1A 7 is Manasseh, right? Because I get that a lot. How can I, find out which tribe I come from? That's really the least of your worries. If you can confirm that you're E1B1A and that you are an Israelite, you should be concentrating that energy on taking out the laws, statutes, and commandments. Get back to that, to get back to the covenant and living your life in accordance with that as an Israelite, because you knowing which tribe you come from does not affect your salvation, but those laws, statutes, and commandments do. I get it. Everyone would love to know which tribe they come from. I get it. But in the grand scheme of everything, it's not that important to know specifically which tribe you come from. Now, maybe if you came from Dan, you might want to know that, if all the history of the tribe of Dan. But anyway, that's another whole story. But aside from that, yeah, just knowing that you are an E1B1A and getting back to the covenant is the most important thing in the grand scheme. All right, on to the next segment. Okay, before I actually go to the next segment regarding the new format to 23andMe, I absolutely have to try to address this real quick, because it's been brought to my attention that there's been rumblings and videos about, who's the Israelites, and about the mixed breeds, and how white women can't breed Israelites and this and that. And let me just address this once and for all from my perspective, from a quasi-genetic and scriptural perspective as it pertains to who's the Israelite, who's not Israelites, and how it says the mother and the father is not both Israelites and the kids are not Israelites. Let me just address all of that right now. Okay, first and foremost, God is not a racist. Okay, but regarding the children of Israel, he is a separatist, because he didn't want us mixing with any other nation. And Deuteronomy 7:3-4 is explicit in that. And it says, Deuteronomy 7:3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them, Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. And we know that's exactly what happened to Solomon. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. And the Most High says, the word of the Lord endureth forever. 1 Peter 1:25. And Malachi 3:6, he said, I'm the Lord thy God, I changeth not. That's his law, statute, and commandment, and no one is above that. Contrary to what a lot of people think, it said Moses did put away his Ethiopian wife. He did. Okay, because the fact that the Most High did not want the children of Israel to mix with any other nation had nothing to do with race. Okay, had nothing to do with color. As I said, he's not a racist, he's a separatist. Because he did not want us mixing with any other nation. Didn't matter what color they were, whether they were black, white, brown, purple, whatever. If they were not an Israelite, he did not want us with them, period. And there's proof that Moses put away his Ethiopian wife, even though a lot of people tried to argue that he did not, because his kids were referred to as Levites or something to that effect. Okay, well, with that said, let's go to Deuteronomy 23:7-8. When he says, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. And that's what a lot of people actually point to, the scripture that they point to say, okay, mixed breeds can't be Israelites, whatever the case may be. Well, the fact that Moses' son, their mother was Ethiopian and they were referred to as Levites, should tell you right there that the male child is what the father is. Okay, as simple as that. The man carries the seed. All that the whole concept of women determine Jewishness, that's some old madness from the false converted Jews, because they know they would never be able to prove that their lineage comes through a male that goes to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's why they do it through the woman, because they could never prove that from a man. So they changed the rules. Remember I talked about how they changed the rules, they changed the goalposts. Every time we get closer, they do something to make it seem, make us, to phase us out and keep changing the rules. So that falls in line with that. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know who the third generation would be in terms of who's E1B1, if the father's E1B1A and the mother is a different, the mother is not Israelite, if the mother is, I don't know, Indian or some other race, even white, I don't know. But the Most High was explicit that the children or the mixed children of Israelite and Edom or Egypt / Ham, that the children begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. Now, how do you actually count the third generation from all these different mixed races of Hebrew Israelites all over the world? How do you do that? I'll answer that. You can't. So to quote this scripture is really a moot point. The only entity that would know exactly which child or which generation is this or who falls under the third, the only one who could do that is the Most High God himself. You all really need to knock it off. You can't do it. Listen, if the Most High in Exodus 12:40-49 says that any stranger that shall sojourn with Israel, if they take up the law, statutes, and commandments, if they are circumcised, that they will be viewed as one that is homeborn. You mean to tell me that if a child or if a male is E1B1A, whatever the subgroup is, meaning his father's an Israelite, that because his mom is white or his mom is whatever the case may be, you're trying to discount him as an Israelite, when the Most High already said that even if he was a stranger and he took up the law, statutes, and commandments, he could still be considered as one that is homeborn, or i.e. a genetic Israelite. So it makes absolutely no sense to argue this. Okay, none of you, I don't care what title you claim, I don't care what you say. I don't care how many videos you make. None of you can make the determination of which child comes from which generation, or when they'd be counted, or when they'd be into the congregation. Leave that to the Most High. My job is to say, listen, he raised me up to bring forth the holy haplotype of the children of Israel, which is E1B1A. Outside of that, I'm not stepping outside of my bounds. I'm not overstepping my bounds. That's beyond my pay grade. That's not for me to say. Okay, once you discover that you're E1B1A, rather all that other stuff is secondary. Now you have to get back to the covenant. Okay, I mean, it's as simple as that, because you're wasting time and energy arguing a moot point when the Most High already opened it up to strangers anyway. So it really doesn't matter. Everyone has a chance at salvation. The Most High's word is not null and void. Okay, his word endureth forever. I don't care what you say. None of his laws and statutes and commandments have changed. None of it has been amended in any way. Whatever he said in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, Exodus, whatever, that's what he means today in 2017. Please believe no man, not even Yehoshua HaMashiach himself, has the authority to change or amend any law, statute, and commandment of the Most High God of Israel. Knock it off. Knock it off. So I hope that this brings some type of understanding and clarity to this whole who's the Israelite and who's not, and both the parents. I'm fortunate and blessed that both my mother and my father are Hebrew Israelites. And that is a genetic fact. I know that for a fact, genetically. Now, outside of E1B1A and L3E for the females, I can't speak to, and I refuse to. I'm not going to give anyone any misinformation. I'm not going to tell you the wrong thing. Before I say the wrong thing, I will not say anything at all. And many of you are overstepping your bounds and your authority. None of you can count who's in the third generation of who, going way back to our original forefathers. You don't have that vast of knowledge and ability. Stop it. Knock it off. The bottom line is we should be focusing on getting as many people saved. Salvation is the key at the end of the day, right? We're supposed to be a beacon of light to the world, not arguing over who's an Israelite and who's not. Who cares? We have to get back to the covenant. How can we be a beacon of light if we arguing over simple, silly stuff? I mean, knock it off already. Time is winding down. Trust me, we really need to stop this. This is ridiculous. It's past ridiculous. At the end of the day, it's about salvation. Okay? You either gonna be saved or you're gonna be in the lake of fire. There's no middle ground with that. You're gonna be you're gonna have salvation or you're not. There's no in between. On the day of judgment, we all will give an account. Every single one of us. All right. Now I hope my followers, my fans, and all of you, I hope y'all got something from this, but I had to, address it. I really didn't want to, but I mean, they start making videos over talking about the child who the father is a false doctrine. No, you making a video like that is a false doctrine because you don't know what you're talking about. And when people start saying stuff like that, the Most High did not send them because they don't know what they're talking about. They're talking stuff from their own mind, from their own heart. That did not come from the Most High. And I rebuke every single one that speaks what the Most High told them not to speak, or speaking something that the Most High did not tell them to speak. I rebuke every single one of you, male, female, it don't matter. I rebuke you all because you don't know what you're talking about. And you need to be very careful who you put your mouth on when you're speaking to the man of God. And on that note, I'm going to leave it right there. But we're going to go on to the next segment. I've always heard it said that the one constant is change. But black people, Negroes specifically, we have to stay woke. And that's real. This right here is the old format from 23andMe. As you can see visibly, it says E1B1A 7A is a subgroup of E1B1A. Well, that's no more. They did away with that. They even had the narrative on the side telling you exactly how old E1B1A is from their perspective, the region and the demographic of people that carry that mostly carry that particular haplotype, the E1B1A7A, and African Americans and Bantus. Those are your key, right? That's your key. Those are your keys right there to know that the E1B1A7A. Because remember that Bantu expansion was a Hebrew expansion. All right. Well, that is no more. That see up to the top to the left paternal line. Clearly, it's E1B1A7A. Not anymore. On to the next one. Now, this next segment is very important because it actually lists the global similarity map, which again was from the old 23andMe format, but this is no more. Now I've looked for it, but I could not find it. Now, why this is important is because the global similarity map tells you, giving the most, how can I say this? The people that share my haplotype, going way back, the reference population was clearly the quote-unquote Middle East. Okay, we know what that's about. We know why that's the reference population, right? But here they go into this Near East thing. See, and I exposed the games that they've played, the play with the words, the changing up stuff, and all this and that. You know, and this is what they do. This is what they've done throughout history. Let's go down to the reference population, which is Middle East. We consider the Near East to be bordered by the Mediterranean and Black Sea to the west, the Caucasus Mountains to the northeast, the Arabian Peninsula to the south, and the Zagros Mountains to the east. The 23andMe database includes Near Easterners from the Palestinian, Druze, and Buddhian populations living in Israel. Our database reflects some of the genetics diversity of the Near East prior to the era of intercontinental travel that began roughly 500 years ago. Yeah, right. They mix truths with falsehoods. And that's just it to kind of throw. I mean, Near East, what's that? Near East, really? Middle East, really? Anyway, yeah, that's important. That's no more. On to the next segment. You know what's funny, but not in a hee ha ha kind of way, is that they're actually showing who we are by our haplotype, but still trying to pile on BS. Again, here's a Y-DNA map of my Y-DNA haplotype. As you can see, clear as day. I mean, Palestinian, where you can see the area, right? Again, this is the old format. This Y-DNA haplotype is no more. Now, if they still have this, please someone let me know, because I've kind of scoured the new format, and I have not seen this Y-DNA haplotype map, nor have I seen the global similarity map. So by chance, if anyone knows that it's there, please by all means post it or bring our attention to it. It would be definitely appreciated. All right, next up we have the mitochondrial hair. I'm providing a copy of my mother's mitochondrial haplotype, and as you can see, excuse me, her haplotype is L3E2A1B. Now, I get a lot of questions on the mitochondrial. Of course, us being stiff-necked people, we didn't want to accept the fact that, listen, L3E, I know for a genetic fact, has the exact migrational pattern as the E1B1A. What does that logically say? That L3E is the female equivalent to E1B1A. Of course, the operative in both those haplotypes is the E. We're from haplogroup E. Okay, I get all these different types of mitochondrial haplotypes, and I'm not going to speak on them. Some trying to say that L so and so was in Israel, was in the Middle East, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to speak to that. I'm not going to overstep my bounds. I know for a fact that E1B1A for men in all of its subgroups, and L3E in all of its subgroups are Hebrew Israelites for women, the mitochondrial version. All right. And for some reason, 23andMe had no problem giving you the history of L3E, the real history in terms of being originally from Northeast Africa, right, or present day Israel, but not so with the E1B1A. They give us bits and pieces, some lies mixed with some truths and some falsehoods and this and that. And I don't, people don't want to accept certain things, but it's really not about what you want to accept. It's about what's the truth. Remember I said way back when I first started all this genetic stuff, your DNA will reveal the truth, not what you want it to reveal, not what you think it's going to reveal, but it will reveal the truth, whatever that is, concerning you and your bloodline and your genetic history. Me personally, I don't want to embrace anything that's not truthfully me, just like I don't want to denounce anything that is. I mean, it's as simple as that. I don't know why people have such a hard time embracing who they are or who they aren't. But anyway, moving right along, maternal haplogroup. Now, this is from the old format. Now, they do have a definition or narrative of the L3E in the new format. But this is what it said for the old one. Haplogroup L3E migration. Haplogroup L3E originated about 45,000 years ago in Central or Northeast Africa, then spread south with the migration of the Bantu-speaking people over the past 4,000 years. Now, highlight that, and the example populations being Bantu speakers / African Americans, and there you have it. L3E is the female mitochondrial version of the E1B1A, the operative being the Bantu expansion or Bantu speakers, because remember that Bantu expansion was in all actuality a Hebrew expansion. And matter of fact, the Bantus, all of us are actually Bantus. It doesn't matter which secondary tribe we claim or African American, we're all basically Bantus, right? And our haplotypes do not match any local tribe in Africa with that expansion. And these geneticists and scientists, they were just amazed at why our haplotypes were so different than the Hamitic Africans. Well, you shouldn't be amazed. We're not from the same bloodline. Why would our haplotypes be the same, right? But there you go. L3E, female version of E1B1A. And if you look at this from a clearly rational perspective, you would see that there was absolutely no need or reason for them to change the format of the Y DNA haplotype results, particularly of Negroes, other than to confuse. Because quiet as is kept, when the Most High raised me up to bring this forth, one of theirs, they already said that the DNA outs them as not being from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I posted that video, and one get turned deserves another, right? The Most High raised up one of us to say, hey, E1B1A is the quote unquote holy haplotype, as I've affectionately dubbed it. And actually is the start of the ancient Israelite nation. And truthfully, they could have kept the format the same, because majority of our people aren't going to believe anyway. Doesn't even matter. But for those who aren't sleeping any longer, who stuck their head up out of the sand, okay, clearly Dr. E was on to something, and they felt that they had to change the format. No other reason. Think about it. There was no other reason for them to change anything. So they changed the format and raised the prices to further discourage black folks from getting it. Think about it. Before it was $99. All of a sudden, I come out with this comprehensive E1B1A video revealing the truth to the world that the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, their haplotype is E1B1A. And here we are. So, yeah, DNA denies this so-called Jewish race claim. There's no such thing as a Jewish race. Okay? Jewish. All right? It's not a race. They practice the religion of Judaism. That's man-made. Okay? That's a religion. They are not Israelites. They're not. And the funny part is they know who you are. And as much as I've went through to bring forth the truth to you, they went through just as much, and they have a lot more money to continue to keep you at bay or confuse you or discourage you. Ha. I told you. Here we are. So let me go ahead and give you the new format and get ready to kind of wind this up. Once I finally go over what you can do now with your data from 23andMe to get your plain Y DNA haplotype. All right, here's the new format. Maternal haplogroup EP252. Again, that's just another nomenclature for E1B1A7A. And as I go into the next segment, you're going to see to what lengths they went through and to try and confuse you. They have 3 different E nomenclatures saying basically the same thing. If that's not the spirit of confusion, I don't know what is. But yeah, it gives the age, it gives the this again. This is a new format for those who aren't following along. And again, this is how you. This is the second part to it. Let me bring this up real quick. Okay, right here, haplogroup E1M180 migration origin E1M180 branch of haplogroup E1M96. Listen, they haven't even finished the first line. They already got 2 different E nomenclatures. They got E1M180 and E1M96. This is ridiculous, past ridiculous. But this is where we are though, and I know we were going to get here, and this is what we have to deal with. So we just have to kind of know what to do, and that's the purpose of this video, so you guys can stay calm, don't get confused, and we're going to figure this out. Once you have your data from 23andMe, then you go right here to JedMatch.com. You sign up with your email and get a password, and you sign up to JedMatch. It's free, totally free, right? And once you get your confirmation and everything for your JedMatch account, then you go up in there and you kind of surf around, and you'll see, it'll basically tell you exactly what to do. But remember, it's all about your raw data, downloading your raw data. And I'm having some slides here to kind of give you a nice overview of what to do once you sign up to JedMatch.com. Once you have your 23andMe raw data, all right? Because you're going to take that data and go here. You're going to download that data, right? It's going to actually say raw data. I think it's under the tools, under the tools section of 23andMe. You click tools and scroll all the way down, and it says raw data. All right, you browse your data. You make sure you download all of your data, and once you get that and you download it, and all you gotta do is upload it to JedMatch, and there you go. All right. So to make it as simplistic as possible, you take your DNA test from 23andMe. All right, you download your raw data from 23andme.com website. You sign up to JedMatch.com. You download your raw data from 23andMe, and then you upload it to JedMatch to get your visual E1B1A to you, or your haplotype, whatever it is. Right? I'm sorry, and that's it. There it is, there, my people. Yes, they're trying to make it more difficult. Clearly injecting the spirit of confusion, which will in turn make our people have even further doubt, and want to keep us ignorant. But we got to keep fighting, and we got to keep moving forward. I'm going to do my part, man. I'm going to continue to fight and do my part to continue to teach and awaken my people. And, shout out to all the sojourners of Israel. I know you guys don't get the ones who are not genetic Israelites. You don't get a lot of props, so a lot of but there's a lot of non-genetic Israelites that are standing with Israel, and I want to just share peace and shalom to all of you, and because truthfully, there's going to be a lot. Romans 9:27 says there's going to be a lot of E1B1As that are not going to make it. So I don't want anyone to ever get it confused that just because you're E1B1A, you're automatically in there. No, knowing is half the battle. Okay, there are sojourners out there who are standing with Israel, who are taking up the laws, statutes, and commandments, living the life as Israelites and being seen as such by the Most High. They're going to be saved. You E1B1As who still keeping your head stuck in the sand, and the Antichrist, all of you, you're not going to make it. Romans 9:27 says, though the Israelites are as the sand of the sea, only a remnant will be saved. Okay? Now on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this. I send shalom to everyone. I hope this presentation was helpful and encouraging. And we just got to keep moving forward and doing our part to awaken our people, man. Time is ticking. All right. So on that note, I'm going to send Shalom. Ahaya by Yeshua HaMashiach. I'm out.